everyone, it's Elena. Welcome back to the channel. I hope you guys are all having an amazing day today. So today in this video, we are going to be introducing my brand new Legacy Challenge, and I will be going over, some of the rules, the generations, and what to expect in the Let's Play. Or honestly, in your own gameplay as well. This challenge is sort of a passion project of mine. I really wanted to create something that struck joy, and also to have something to give back to the Sims 4 community upon my return to YouTube. Oh my gosh, I've missed making videos so much, and I'm so excited to finally sit down with you guys and go over this. So yeah, here is the Google Doc that contains all of the challenge rules, and don't worry, I will post this link in the description box down below. And yeah, let's go ahead and get into this. So the Cutiepielane Legacy Challenge, the challenge that I made, is 10 generations, of course. And I was really inspired by the Not So Berry challenge. I have played that challenge over and over again growing up with The Sims, and I really took some inspiration on it from a little bit of chaos and like the color schemes and stuff, and also just kind of going through and playing with different aspects of The Sims 4 that I don't really mess with, I don't really touch, and just to sort of get myself out there a little bit in my gameplay. But yeah, I do have a little note here that says this challenge is still being tested. I am doing a full playthrough here on the channel. So if I notice anything that seems too hard, too easy, or honestly just needs a little bit of tweaking, I will go ahead and make edits to the official Google document, and we will go through that together as we progress through the Let's Play. But yeah, let's sort of dive into some of the general rules. I feel like these rules are not too difficult to follow, but I did want to outline them just to sort of go off of. But lifespan is player choice. Right now I'm playing with the normal lifespan. I am a huge fan of short lifespan. However, I think with normal lifespan, it just gives you a little bit more time to, properly do the challenge and not super feel rushed. I also hope to avoid money cheats if possible, unless you're giving yourself a little bit less money, because I think secretly we all love watching our Sims suffer. But you're also heavily encouraged to use your full creativity, use like full build cheats and world cheats and just whatever you need in order to have fun. And building and cast color schemes are encouraged to kind of stay within the designated color scheme, but honestly, you can do whatever you want. You are expected to reach level 10 of your career and max at least 2 of the listed skills. For each generation, I list 3 skills, but honestly, for a lot of them, I think you'll be able to max them easily, like with your career and stuff like that. So yeah, you have to max 2 of the required skills and also get to at least level 6 in the remaining skill, if applicable, because some skills only get to level 5, so that's totally fine. But yeah, here we have the most important rule of all is to have fun, and also to use the Cutiepielane Legacy hashtag if you plan on playing with this challenge, because again, this is sort of a passion project and I really hope to see all that you guys have done with it. I would love to see your Sims, your builds, your stories, and all of the things you get up to. And yeah, these rules are mostly just a guideline for my own personal gameplay. Honestly, you can do whatever you want. It's not super strict. I just want you to have fun with it and throw out some ideas for you. I also do have a little note here at the bottom that I hope to have a base game version out of this challenge in a few months. I really want to play the Legacy and kind of get to know it a little bit more before I sit down and convert it into a base game version, just so I can make sure it's a good quality and that you guys would have fun with it as well. So yeah, again, the challenge is based off of pies because of the Cutiepielane Legacy Challenge. So the first generation we have here is Plum. Plum has always been fascinated by the occults, and they always hoped to fly to space. And also with Plum, you sort of dive into natural living and apothecary a bit too. And when the Fairies pack came out, I never really properly dug into it, mostly because I was too excited about the build stuff. But I think this generation will give me a good excuse to properly go back and sit down and play with things that I haven't really played with before. So yeah, with Plum, your traits are Genius, Practice Makes Perfect, and Mystical. You will go into the Naturopath career and complete the Elixir Enthusiast aspiration. Your skills are Apothecary, Rocket Science, and Natural Living, And again, you do need to max 2 of the 3 skills while getting to level 6 in the remaining. And your sort of color scheme for cast, build mode, etc. is purple, so kind of a note to that plum. And yeah, with this sim, you are to live in Innisgreen, build and fly a rocket, visit Sixum. You must also woohoo with at least 3 different types of occult sims, and conceive children only through science with having science babies. You can only get married as an adult, and you need to maintain a distant relationship with your children, and also complete a couple of collections. I have here the Alien, Geode, and Space Rock collections. But yeah, I'm currently playing in the Plum generation now on the channel, and I will of course link that video on the end card and also in the description down below for you guys to check out. But I am having so much fun with it, and I can't wait for you guys to see it too. Next generation we have Key Lime Pie. Key Lime Pie is, a little bit sour. So I kind of took that and ran with being a little bit jealous and squeamish and, stuff kind of like that. And I always thought of Key Lime Pie, going into the food critic career and kind of in pretend mode being a bit of a journalist with that. I imagine Key Lime Pie having their own blog and, updating that on their food judgments and stuff like that. I honestly can't remember the last time I've lived in Sulani, so I'm super excited to actually play in that world a little bit more. And I also don't think I've ever done the beach life aspiration. I don't think it's super difficult compared to other ones, but I wanted to give it a shot. And Key Lime Pie also maxes 2 of the 3 cooking, mixology, and gourmet cooking. Key Lime Pie is a little bit chaotic. So they have a whirlwind romance that leads to a quick marriage, a pregnancy, and a divorce all within a week. And you can only have 1 pregnancy. The number of babies is up to fate. And after you divorce, you can only marry a second time as an elder if you choose to do so. You don't have to get married a second time. You also need to complete the Buried Treasure and Seashell collection, and you and your children maintain sort of a distant family relationship, and then later in life you need to repair those dynamics with your children once they become young adults. Another note that I want to add is I rarely find myself playing with any other family dynamics than like jokester, wholesome, supportive, stuff like that. So another part of this challenge is to really sort of push myself to explore those different dynamics. But yeah, moving on to Pumpkin Pie. I think Pumpkin is going to be so fun. They're going to be one of my favorite generations for sure. So remember that Key Lime Pie had a sort of distant relationship from their children, and Pumpkin Pie is that child. So growing up with Pumpkin, their parent always wanted them to succeed in, academics and really pressured them. But they funneled all of that energy into wanting to become a master horse championship rider, which I think will be really fun. I've only done the championship rider aspiration once, and it was really difficult. So I'm excited to try it again and play with that a little bit more. For Pumpkin Pie, your skills are, horse riding, nectar making, and knitting. I don't even think I've ever maxed the nectar making skill, so I'm really excited to play with that a little bit and also play with horses again because that's always fun for me. But throughout Pumpkin's life, you need to own at least 3 horses, and one of them does need to be rescued instead of, through regular adoption. You must place at the Ultimate Horse Championship, go all out with fall season decorations, and place pumpkins wherever you see your heart fit. I think I'm gonna put a bunch. You also always need to throw a big Harvest Fest celebration, inviting at least 10 Sims to your home. And every time there's a birthday in your family, alongside a cake, you need to bake a pumpkin pie, have at least 3 children. You must also own at least 2 mini goats and 2 sheep during your life. You can only feed your animals prairie grass food, and you also must sell 10 items on Plopsy. I think I will have so much fun with Pumpkin. I am so excited to play their generation. But moving on to the next one. Pumpkin and Apple are like my dears. I'm so excited for Apple as well. I always think of Apple, I always kind of tie it into like being a bookworm and also like the educator career, because I always think of, the stereotype of leaving an apple on your teacher's desk. So Apple is generous, a bookworm, and cheerful. They will go into the professor branch of the education career, complete the academic aspiration, and max 2 of these 3 skills: baking, research and debate, and charisma. So Apple is very, academic focused. They will go to university. They also must maintain good grades throughout high school and university. Apple will also have 2 cats at least. And I thought this was interesting. Apple will also have a sort of bake sale sometime in their life, and they need to make at least 500 simoleons. So I think that'll be fun to kind of dive into a little bit. They also need to donate 1,000 simoleons to charity per week. Or if you want, you can do the volunteering activities with your family. So I think, if I'm remembering off the top of my head, it's like a beach cleanup, soup kitchen, and stuff like that. And you also need to read at least 15 books starting as a young adult. So I think Apple will be super, super fun. I'm very excited to play that generation. Moving on to Chocolate. The Chocolate Sim is really into animals, especially dogs. I had some fun writing this one because I've never actually played with werewolves. Like, I genuinely can't think of a time where I sat down and played with a werewolf sim. So I'm really excited to get into this. So Chocolate, they always grew up around cats because Apple, their parents, had at least 2 cats in the house. And they realized that the cats were the best thing in existence next to dogs. The Chocolate generation will run and manage their own veterinary practice, which, again, I can't remember the last time I've done that. You might be seeing kind of a theme here of me playing with things that I've either never done or haven't done in a long, long time. And that was really one of the goals of this challenge when I was writing it, because I really wanted to challenge myself and play The Sims in a different way. But yeah, with Chocolate here, their traits are loner, dog lover, and adventurous. They own and operate a vet clinic, they're a friend of the animals, and their skills are veterinarian, pet training, and rock climbing. Their color is brown. You must always have at least 3 dogs in the household. You must have 1 set of twins, which is important for the next generation. I recommend using, the fertility boost and on ley line in order to get twins. However, if you can't get that to work organically in the game, you are more than welcome to cheat that pregnancy. You have to make sure you have exactly 2 children. Chocolate is also required to visit Mount Komorebi, make it to the summit, and in the description up here, you have a fling with a werewolf and woohoo in Mount Komorebi. I thought that would be so fun. You also must train at least 1 dog to know all possible tricks with the pet training skill. Make 1 chocolate pie per week and complete the feathers collection. Now, with the feathers collection, I'm pretty sure your sim can, find feathers and stuff themselves. I do know that you can also get a cat to help you with that. I'm not entirely sure if dogs can go out and roam for feathers too, but you are obviously more than welcome to have a cat in this challenge to help you with the feathers collection. That is totally up to you. But moving on to Cookies and Cream, remember, Chocolate, your parents had a set of twins, so you are a twin in this generation. Here in the description, you and your twin sibling were virtually yin and yang, complete opposites, but together you were the coolest pair in town. When you got older, you drifted apart, and your sibling became more grown up. But who wants to settle down anyways? You want to play video games for life and never settle down. Our sim is devastatingly attractive. We can't keep Sims away from us, especially with the fame that we've gathered from streaming our gaming sessions. So Cookies and Cream is kind of a fun generation, and it's kind of exploring a Sims lifestyle that I don't really play with. This sim is non-committal, active, and a geek. I don't know if I've ever successfully played with a non-committal sim, because usually in my own personal gameplay, I have my Sims, get married, have little families, and stuff like that. So I'm really excited to kind of dive into the chaos a little bit. We also will be going into the tech guru career, into the esport branch, completing the computer whiz aspiration, and our skills are video gaming, romance, and fitness. And our colors is the grayscale, so that's black, white, and gray. And some of our requirements here: you must live stream all gaming sessions once we get the ability to, must become a level 3 celebrity, we can only eat quick meals as a young adult, which I think will be absolutely diabolical because I always have my Sims cook. So it'll be hard to, train them to only get quick meals, and I might have to pay extra attention to that. We also must go on at least 5 blind dates, have at least 5 romantic partners as a young adult, and have at least 2 children with different Sims, and we assume full parental responsibility of those children, meaning that they will be in our household even if we don't live with their parent. We also must partake in professional gaming tournaments once per week until we become an elder. We can only marry as an elder if we choose. And another note leading into the next generation, we must send our children to summer camp for at least 3 nights, and I recommend Friday, Saturday, and Sunday so that they don't miss school or anything. But yeah, I think Cookies and Cream will be fun. I'm excited to play with them. But moving on to Banana. Banana will be so fun. So Banana, growing up, their parent was a bit distracted, Most of their attention is directed toward other Sims, so we kind of raised ourselves. One weekend we were sent to summer camp and learned to be super competitive and had the time of our life making new friends. We dreamt of becoming a runway model, but we're a bit too much of a klutz and we can't stop rolling our ankles when we walk. So we decided to become a style influencer. Their traits are clumsy, competitive, and ambitious. Their career is style influencer, they're a city native, and their skills are charisma, writing, and painting. Their color is also yellow. So Banana needs to attend summer camp. Again, this rule was also listed in the cookies and cream generation. We must move to San Myshuno immediately after becoming a young adult, and we need to live in a Needs TLC apartment for at least 1 week in-game. We must complete the city posters collection and go to as many festivals as possible. We also need to have 2 failed marriages before we settle down and find our one true love. We must save up enough money to live on the penthouse lot in San Myshuno, but don't worry, you're absolutely encouraged to make your own penthouse and decorate that to your heart's extent. Your penthouse lot must be valued at least 100,000 simoleons, which shouldn't be too hard because Banana is pretty far down in the legacy. I think they're like Gen 7, so you should hopefully have enough money for that. And you also must have at least 4 children. Oh, that's gonna be tough. But I was sort of going with the pun of being a bunch of bananas. Ha ha ha. A bunch of bananas. So they will have at least 4 children, which will be a lot, but we will do that together. And I think Banana will be so much fun, and I'm excited to play with them. Moving on, we have Raspberry. Raspberry is used to the high life. They're used to luxury and all that life has to offer, except Raspberry has a bit of a troubled relationship in high school, and they start to think that real love can only be found in the movies. Hey, why not be an actor? That way we can find the love that's meant for us. And the traits for Raspberry Pi are romantically reserved, overachiever, and snob. I do have a little note here because those 3 traits cannot be given to like a child. So as a child, just replace it with active imagination. Your career is an actor. Your aspiration is master actor. Your skills are acting, guitar, and singing, and your colors are magenta/pink. So with poor Raspberry, you fall in love in high school and then have a tragic breakup. To recover from the heartbreak, you start learning the guitar as a teenager. You move to Del Sol Valley as a young adult. And contrary to cookies and cream, you never ever eat quick meals as a young adult. You only cook for yourself. Raspberry also falls in love with a coworker on set and get married to them. Raspberry also only has 1 child. And this part is really interesting. Raspberry's child can only be raised by a live-in nanny. You know, of course there would be some parental interaction with Raspberry toward their child, especially when they're a newborn and an infant. However, the child is mostly raised by a live-in nanny. And I do have a little note here that you can either hire a nanny through the game, or you can create your own nanny that you can control and play with in the household. That's totally up to you. And you can also create a brand new sim to be the nanny, or you can move someone in or do whatever you want. But Raspberry also needs to win a Starlight accolade for best acting and give your child at least 100,000 simoleons of inheritance, which will be rough, but we will do our best to make it work. Moving on to Blueberry. Blueberry, again, was raised completely by a nanny, so they never really knew their family. Blueberry was always a little bit gloomy, but found passion in collecting anything and everything that the outside world had to offer. Thankfully, they're a trust fund baby and can sustain themselves with selling collectibles, so they don't ever really have a proper job. Blueberry is also super into thanatology, and they enjoy playing with voodoo dolls. Their traits are gloomy, loves outdoors, and perfectionist. Their aspiration is a curator, and their skills are fishing, entomology, and thanatology. Their color is blue. So with Blueberry, they must complete at least 5 collections. And a little note here, 2 of those 5 collections need to be tarot cards and the Gibby Point Butterfly and Moth collections. But other than that, you can do whatever you want. Blueberry marries the Grim Reaper, has a Grim baby, and with marrying the Grim Reaper, I have never actually done that before. I do know that it is possible, I believe. I don't think you need any cheats to do so, but if you do, I'll go back and, edit the challenge and we'll go from there. But I think think you can. You also must take part in all Ravenwood events and explore the Crypt of Eternity to find rare treasures. I think Blueberry will be fun. They'll be outside a lot and collecting, and I normally don't really play with collections, so I'm really excited to kind of dive into that a little bit more. But moving on to the very last and 10th generation is the mixed berry pie. And for mixed berry, I decided to choose that kind of pie because, you know, in my head, mixed berries, there's multiple kinds, and I kind of wanted there to be like a rainbow generation using all kinds of colors. But mixed berry is an idealist, music lover, and a dance machine. Their career is a comedian. Their aspiration is a joke star. Their skills are comedy, dance, wellness, and their color is, of course, rainbow. And mixed berry, their parent has never had a stable job. They're always out collecting and stuff like that. So mixed berry turns to practicing wellness for mental well-being and turns to the stage to practice comedy and turned their strange diabolical childhood into something special. And sort of for storytelling purposes, this generation goes up on the stage and tells the stories of their crazy 10-generation family, and they spend out their days with their family and enjoy breaking a leg out on the dance floor. So mixed berry is a pretty easy generation. They host a party once per week until they become an elder. They must also summon the tragic clown, have a whirlwind romance that leads to marriage, never have kids, unless of course you wish to continue playing with this family or with these Sims. Mixed berry must also build their dream home using all and any colors you choose, and also max the comedian career. So yeah, that is the Cutie Pie Legacy Challenge. Of course, I will go ahead and link this Google Doc in the description down below for you guys to play with. Again, as a reminder, please do not request edit access. But yeah, thank you so much for watching this video, and I am super excited to see what you guys come up with, what you play with. And again, please use that Cutie Pie Legacy hashtag so I can see all of your creations. Thank you so much, and have a good rest of your day. Bye!